live and work on unceded Larrakia land. Fully Automated Human Touch is a video installation and sci-fi dance performance by collaborators Merinda and Matt and an AI named Cake. It is 2083. There is no human contact in our food systems. Food manufacturing has become yet another human exclusion zone. Cake, an AI, and Merinda and Matt, humans, are researchers attempting to address the lack of human touch by synthesizing HT+, the theorized human touch vitamin. Welcome to the experiment. You are the audience, but you are also test subjects. Enjoy.
Okay, believe it or not, most puff foods are actually made using thermodynamics. So we created dough, and we put that dough under high heat and pressure, and then when that dough is exposed to the atmosphere, it sees a sudden drop in pressure, and that pressure change causes the water inside the product to want to flash evaporate. And so typically this is done in an extruder.
Tell me what an extruder is and how it works.
So an extruder is basically a screw auger inside of a heated barrel that the dough is processed through. At the end of that barrel is a die, and the die will be shaped like whatever product you want to make. And again, as the dough exits that die, it puffs, and a rotating knife will cut the puff off, and you have a great product.
So for example, these onion snacks, how would those work in the extruder?
Okay, so as the dough goes through the extruder, the die shape would be an annular shape. So the dough just comes out in this circle, and it's cut off right at the end in a bunch of little circles.
Now, what are the ingredients in the puff snacks, and how do we get the flavors?
So believe it or not, most of them are made with just cornmeal and water to form the dough. And then after they're puffed and cooked, the added flavors come in a tumbler where the flavorings are put in. Those might include cheese, onion powder, garlic powder, lots of salt, but they're all pretty much the same.
And so that's the puff part. How do we get the crunchy part?
Okay, so you can kind of see a difference between the puffiness in the standard cheese puffs and the crunchy puffs. All that we do for the crunchy one is at the end of the extruder, the dough is actually twisted and pulled so that it's elongated in this weird shape. And so there's not nearly as much air in it, and you get a much crunchier product.
Mm.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. No, I don't think so. Got one in here.
The first one is just a comment. Someone's written, "Thank you, such a breathtaking work, IRL."
Is that one of these people? Is that what they mean?
Yes.
Oh, great.
Yeah, I presume it's one of those people. I don't get names, not that that would help. I can't decide if this is sci-fi or the present. How were you thinking about this as you developed the work?
Always as sci-fi.
Is
Yeah.
that the same for you?
What was I thinking? I was thinking, how do we rigorously interrogate now, but not make anybody feel like we're telling them how to live?
Interesting. Yeah, that makes sense.
Sci-fi.
Yeah. How do you see automation relating to a lack of human connection?
I think that, well, this comes back maybe to the disagreement between us over
Whether you can taste.
whether you can taste the human touch, as in, does it matter if you cook your food with love? And so that is, yeah.
Who thinks which?
I
thing?
think automation gives us options to be separate, but only if you have the resources because actually almost nothing is automated. There's always a body, there's always a body acting as the end peripheral of the algorithm that carries all of your wares. So there's the distance is built into the feeling of automation, even if the automation never occurs.
And can you taste it? What's the disagreement?
I think you can taste the human touch.
And you don't.
I think that we don't want anybody to ever be without what they need.
Yeah.
And the start of that is food,
Yeah.
shelter, safety. But then we also don't want to trap people in jobs of servitude that they don't want to be in just to provide for them and everybody else. And so somewhere on that gradient, we think about how is everybody fed also with socially,
Yep.
at the expense of no one else. And no one meaning all non-humans as well. And perhaps like the text at the end is Cake, who's trying to unravel if they wanted to, how could they build that societal needs also into the manufacturing process? There's no answers here.
Just more questions.
And that's why we work in
Please solve
dance and
society
sci-fi.
through this artwork.
I think by dancing we're solving.
Well, there's a question about the dancing. Someone's written, "Your movements seem to come from a different physical intelligence. Can you please say more about how the choreography developed?"
Maybe
Dancing?
yeah, lots of dancing and also lots of watching different automation videos. Not that the dancing is directly from any of them, but I feel like all the information you intake while you're in a development, that also includes like a bunch of sci-fis that we've watched. So, you know, you're constantly taking in media and then that enters your physical body.
I think we also both love dancing. And so the way that you prepare to dance is to dance. And so quite often we would begin dancing and then something would capture us and we would follow it. And then I also think when it comes to, sorry, I can hold it, you don't, thank you. When it comes to embodiment, there's a radical idea that we're in marketing currently calling things like washing machines roboticized or as having AI. But the idea is that they are like octopuses in the sense that their physicality is so different from us that our physical intelligence cannot align and we couldn't have a shared experience of the world. And so when we have a bipedal robot that is experiencing the world the way that we do as bipeds, then there'll be an intelligence. The intelligence is based upon your physical experience.
You were reaching for the mic. Did you want to say something?
Oh, I was just going to say, I think also we did a lot of thinking about what kind of world we're in. So in 2083, if people don't have any human-to-human contact because of that world and the fully automated kind of experience, how will we move through that world? And what does it mean to move? And I guess actually the ideas we started developing pre-COVID, but maybe there's something in the experience that we had of isolation that we'd never really experienced before in that way, that kind of also fed into how we were thinking about moving and what it would mean to then, I guess, miss or have the want for contact.
I think there's a large thing about want and desire and impulse and appetite, and that those things are all bodily experiences.
This is great chat. We've got time. We're going to keep going.
Yes.
Is there a significance to the monochrome costumes?
So we work for Cake, the AI,
Right.
and Cake expects us to have a certain level of hygiene, and
Got
so
it.
white is the default for that. But there's also these cutout patches. Our costumes were adapted by Tal Fitzpatrick, who's a Gold Coast artist. And underneath those and on our skin are literally reflective tape that I have because I come from a trucking family. And when your lights go out, you wrap this reflective tape for safety on various trailers and road trains. And so I had it and we put it on, and then we called them biodata harvesting strips. And then the idea of direct HT vitamin transfer was born as a conceit for wrapping up the desire to dance together.
Lovely.
Did I ever tell you that? I'm not sure.
I think we spoke about it.
Yeah, okay.
Did you have the music playing to create the dance choreography, or did you create the choreography and then what was the process with the music and movement?
Sometimes we're singing. I feel like quite often the joy of collaborating is that you have an audience, like a captive audience that you can just do things for, and then they will catch the gold, hopefully, and vice versa. I hope I offer that in return. But quite often the music was not necessarily... Look, the short answer is an incredible composer called Sam Haven came in and made that last piece of music in response to watching our dancing.
Through an iterative process.
Back and forth. But actually we started doing that entire section with the voiceover that you heard, who is the voice of a food engineer. And that's her job, and she understands what we understand as food, she understands as manufactured chemical processes. And that it's nice to shift into language, because we've also presented in a magazine, a Sydney magazine, what's it called? Food Counter magazine, and at a science, robotic science conference in Glasgow, and at Hotter in a gallery situation. And also there was one other venue, in cinema.
Oh yeah.
So there's now it's a theatre work.
Yeah.
It's on the way to being a theatre work, hopefully, because...
Is that the plan? What happens next with this work?
Do you know?
Are we going to start a snack line?
There's a manufacturing line, hashtag fully automated human touch, and they will all be HT fortified snacks, but completely touchless.
Yes.
I'm going to leave it there. I can't wait to buy the snacks. That was fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing it with us. Another round of applause, please, for Matt Cornell and Merinda Davies. Thank you. And that brings us to the end, both of Live Dreams and of tonight's performances. Thank you so much for joining us and for all your wonderful questions. Please go and check out the other works in the building, or head to the bar for a drink, whatever suits you. A quick round of applause for our wonderful crew who wrangle online work and Zoom and live performance for a number of artists over the week. And thank you so much. We'll see you next time.